I don't know, because I loved school so much, I really would have loved to have gone to college. But you know, when I graduated from the 12th grade, I graduated from high school, I had no idea that I was going to college. I hadn't done anything to try to go to college. All the kids had an idea of what jobs they were going to have, either in the Five and Dime or at the state hospital, or, you know, little jobs that people were getting. And I really hadn't thought through what I was going to do. And I had been cleaning houses up to then, and I don't know if I planned to continue doing that. I don't know what I was going to do. But the night I graduated, there were 21 students that graduated from high school. And of those 21, that night, at graduation night, there were 7 awards, and I got all 7. One other student, there was a double award, and another student got one of the awards, and I got all 7 awards the graduation night. Back then they didn't have scholarships. The awards were Years of Reader's Digest, the Great Citizen, and if I ever went to college, I could join the greatest sorority that ever existed. You know, those are the kinds of things that you got, but you didn't get any scholarships, and there was no money, there was no enticement. I had the counselor, we didn't have counselors, but we had taken a test before we graduated, and I was told that I would be an excellent teacher, but I didn't want to be a teacher. In my head, I wanted to go live in Latin America. There was already something in me about the Mexicana bit. And I wanted to go live in Latin America, and I wanted to probably be a secretary. But I couldn't type with a darn. I didn't enter the picture, you know, and that's what I wanted to do. But I had only shared it with my mother. I never told anybody else, but my mother, many years later, when I was named ambassador, and my mother already was into senility, and she said, "Mijita, se te consiguió el deseo de ir a vivir en América Latina." So that was a dream. But the night that I graduated, my father never participated in any school activities. And the night that I graduated, I was in the Gilfil Auditorium, and when we were coming out, and all the people were hugging me and kissing me, whether they knew me or not, because of the awards, in the crowd was my father. I had never seen him at a school function. We didn't ride with him in the car. And he said that he'd give us a ride. So my mother and I and my brother got in the car, and we went home, and he said that he was going to help me go to college. And I just about died. And I said, "Really? To Highlands?" And yes, and I'm going to give you $100. To me, $100, I'd never seen $100. I thought it was a whole lot of money. As it turned out, we were on the quarter system, and $100 would get me through 1 quarter. And he didn't give me the total 100. I had a little money saved from cleaning houses, and that little money, and then he gave me a little bit more, and I got in, and then the rest, I worked. I continued cleaning houses. I worked in the shoe shop, and you know, that's the way I financed it. And then the reading of the books, we were told to buy X number of books, or that they'd have a book in the library that we could all try to go and read. Well, I couldn't buy books, so I learned to offer to read the books, outline them for students, and shoot, that would make me a good student, because I was teaching everybody with a book, but I didn't have to buy books. And so I found ways of getting through. And then, darn it, I fell in love, and I got married, and I quit. And oh, my professors thought it was awful for me to quit, but I quit. And so I had only gone to school 1 year. And then I quit, and I was out, and had 3 children and worked at little jobs. I worked at a parachute factory, and they'd run out of a contract and I'd go back to school, and I'd go back another quarter, and then they'd get a contract, I'd go work some more and then go back to school. So this is the way I was doing it then, and by then I knew that I had to work in my heart, and it had to be something where it was going to make a difference. By then it really was in me. And I wanted to be a Spanish teacher, because my Spanish was very different from everybody else's Spanish, because we spoke Spanish at home, standard Spanish. And so I wanted to do something with the Spanish, but the teacher that was young, and there was only one Spanish teacher, so I thought I need a job sooner than when she dies, right? So I changed, because my friends were going to study elementary education. I changed to elementary education, and I loved it. I just loved it. I loved working with the children, and so finally I finished and went out to teach, and I look back now and I think I've been teaching always. It wasn't when I got my degree. I had been teaching before, because I was always trying to see how we could better.
And then how did you go from teaching the little children to teaching at the college level?
Okay. We moved from Las Vegas to Albuquerque, and I asked that I teach in the poorest school in Albuquerque. And I had come with a reputation of being a terrific teacher, and I remember being told, oh no, we have wonderful schools in the Northeast, and I said I want to go to the poorest school with Spanish children, Spanish-speaking children. So I went to a school that they called San Jose. It was called Riverside then, and that's where the National Hispanic Cultural Center is today. That was my school. And I went to teach there, but that summer I had spent it in California in the Institute. And so I came to teach, and I came with these new ways of teaching English as a second language. So I was there just 3 months, and the dean from the School of Education went to my classroom to see me, because he had heard the stuff that I was doing. So he went to see me there, and on the spot he asked me to come to the university and work with Latino students to teach them English as a second language. So from first grade up there, and then I thought, no, I can't. Who's going to take care of my kids? God, no. And so then the principal said, Mari-Luci, go, and if you don't like it, your job's waiting for you. I'll hire a temporary teacher. So with that, I went to the university, met the Latino students, found out what I was going to do. My mentor in all this was Dr. Frank Angel, and he's the one that was taking students to see me over there, and that's how come the dean had found out. So it was another Hispanic male helping me. And so I went. Within 2 weeks, I called the principal and said, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I said, you know what? Their eyes light up when they catch on, just like the kids. I had never worked with adults before. It was from first grade to adults, highly educated Latinos that were in the project. So I got an office in the basement, because I only had a master's degree. So then I worked through, and I started going to Latin America. I started teaching classes in Spanish, started teaching classes in English. By the time I took the classes, I had used those books to teach my classes. So I got a PhD in while I was doing all this stuff, and that's.
But when you got your PhD, were you not vice president of? Was it academic affairs?
Not yet. When I got my PhD, I was working in the Latin projects, and so when I graduated, they gave me the term lecturer, I think, and so I was starting at the bottom. But I had been teaching college all these years, and then they invited me to join the Department of Elementary Education because I had only been working in a project, in the Latin American project, so I went there. So I went assistant professor, associate professor, full professor. In 7 years, I'd become a full professor, and then I was there a while, and then they invited me to be the chairperson of the department. And then, let's see, where was I? I was chairperson of the department, and I'm trying to think if I was associate dean in the College of Education before I went as ambassador. I think I was. I'm not sure if I'm getting this straight. And then, department chairperson and vice president for student affairs. So I went up the ladder, and then I became the ambassador, so off I went as ambassador. And when I came back, I became assistant to the president because I came midterm and I didn't have a slot for me in the School of Education. So I headed the Spanish Research Institute for a while I got my bearings and restudied what happened in the country the 3 years that I had been out. And then I never went back to full teaching. I just did other kinds of things, administrative things, and then I took early retirement and I left for California.